360 Strong Women. Today we're going to do a yin practice. We're going to do a little bit of meditation to get us started with our practice. So you'll want to grab your mat, perhaps a blanket, because we're going to do our meditation first, our breathing, come into parasympathetic nervous system just for restorative and getting mindful about the practice we're going to do. I'm going to focus in on your hip joints. You may also want a bolster or some yoga blocks, because as you know, if you've been watching my videos, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so that you can pull up all sorts of workouts and yoga and meditation and healthy recipes and all things wellness. But as you know, if you've been watching and you've done some yin with me, we're in a cold environment, so we're not doing a hot yoga. We don't want to heat up our muscles. We want to start with that cold environment so that we get into these plastic tissues and into our joint systems. You will be working other joint systems in this practice, but we're primarily focusing on your hips today. I'm going to do a little shoulder stretch also for you. Go ahead and get started. We want to get on our mat in our Sukasana. If you want a very tight Sukasana, you can take it. You can also make a very loose Sukasana. If sitting like this is uncomfortable for you, you can lay down in Shavasana. You can stand up in Shamastahiti and do your standing, easy standing pose and come into this practice. So find what serves your body best. Start there and then work. And then we want to set up a mudra. And all a mudra is where are you going to place your hands so that you're not fidgeting. If your hands laying in your lap feels the most comfortable, you can do that. I like to put my hands over my heart, so that cues me to keep breathing, not to hold my breath, and to focus in on my breath work, because that's what's going to start to promote stillness, promote calmness, promote that restorative system. Our parasympathetic nervous system is our restorative system, and that's going to start to reduce stress and anxiety and calm the body down, and that's what we want to do. And so for me, just placing my hands over my heart helps me to stay in tune to, I can feel my breath coming in and out. I audibly can hear my breath coming in and out, and so that helps me. So find what works for you. There are a lot of mudras out there that you can take. You can take a lotus, you can take an orb, you can be hands to heart center if you want. Find what works for you. You can light a candle, have some aromatherapy going on. That's always good too. You can close the lights, or if you feel like you're in a safe space, go ahead and close your eyes, or you can just look down to the end of your mat. I get started. I'm going to find my mudra, roll my shoulders back, pull the pit of the belly in and up, because I want to draw my spine nice and tall. And I might take a big sweep up of my arms, big inhale, and then open your mouth and a side away. Exhale it away. Just to get started, big inhalation. Exhale that away. And then begin to breathe in and out through your nose. And just feel the air coming in and out as you begin to settle into your meditative state. You want to make sure that you're grounded from your seat into your mat. Just begin to slow your breath. Focus in on what it sounds like, what it feels like. Just become moment to moment aware of your breath connecting to your body without any judgment. It's just perfect the way it is right here, right now. And as we begin to calm the body and become still, I want you to think about your hip joints. I invite you and I welcome you to this meditation practice for opening of your hips. The hips are that complex joint that connect the upper and lower parts of the body. They are responsible for our ability to walk and to run, to sit and to stand, and they can hold a lot of tension. Let's begin by getting comfortable in our seated position. Remember that you can close your eyes as you breathe deeply in and out, inhaling and exhaling. As you inhale, take in all that breath, fill it all the way up to the top of your head. And as you exhale out, feel that air just rinse through your spine. Begin to sink deeper into the present moment with each breath. And as you inhale, visualize the breath moving down to your hips, filling them with fresh, healing energy. And as you exhale, imagine any tension or tightness in your hips melting away. Allow yourself to sink deeper into the present moment with each breath. And then bring your attention to your hips. Notice any sensation, feeling, or emotions that arise. Without judgment, simply observe what's present, what sensations are going on, where you may feel those sensations. Feeling pain or tightness, just acknowledge it. Don't try to change it. We need to be aware of where we're tight in our body. As you continue to breathe deeply, visualize a warm glowing light surrounding your hips, almost like a sun lamp. Visualize the heat warming and penetrating deep into your hip joints, releasing any blockages or tightness that you may have. Feel the warmth and relaxing warmth of the light spreading throughout your entire body now as you warm up. As you breathe in, say to yourself, I am open. As you breathe in and out, I am open, and I release the tension. Repeat this affirmation several times to yourself, out loud or to yourself. I am open, and I release. Take a few more deep breaths in. And when you feel ready, slowly begin to flutter your eyes open. Become aware of your surroundings, where you are. And take a moment to notice how you feel physically and emotionally. Remember that you can come back to this meditation anytime to release tension and open up your hips. Thank yourself for taking the time to care for your body and your mind. And as we end this meditation and set up for our yin practice, we come with the affirmation that our hips are open and the tension is released. Sweep your arms up over. Big inhale, big exhale. So the first thing I want to do is extend my legs out since they've been in flexion, and just extend them out and maybe pedal them out. Just feel the release in your body through your muscles. We're going to do 2 hip openers. I'm going to go through the other joint systems as well because I just feel like it's important. But today I want you to, as we go through those other joint systems, they will open up. But I always hear, Beth, my hips are tight. What can I do? And so we want to open up the hip joints. And we're going to do a couple yin poses just for that. We're going to do half saddle first. So we're going to do a right side and then a left side. So I'm going to be in my seated position. You may need a block for this. And I'm going to bend one of my legs back. Now I want to keep my toes flexed towards my knee. It's going to keep my knee joint safe because this knee is not fully closed. So partly open, and I want to make sure that it's safe. I keep my toes in dorsiflexion towards the knee. I may want to put a block behind me and use that. Or you could put a bolster and lay down on the bolster. I'm not going to lay all the way down because I want to talk to you and breathe with you as we move into this. So we want to be nice and still, breathe through. You're going to lean back as far as you can. If you can lay down here, great. Your hip flexor is going to stretch towards the ceiling. And you're just going to breathe into these sensations that are in the hip flexor. You're going to feel your hip flexor all the way down your quadricep to your knee. So we're working the knee joint as well. In this knee, in your quad tendon, the big tendon that attaches your quadricep to your knee, and then all the way down my ankle joint because I'm in dorsiflexion, so I'm working this ankle joint as well. I want to roll the shoulders back. I'm going to hold my body up with my shoulders. My wrists are going to be in flexion as I hold myself up. So you're working into a lot of joint systems. And then I just want to breathe in and out. I'm going to pull the pit of the belly in and out, roll my shoulders back, stack the scapulae. And you can close your eyes if you need to and come back as far as you need to. What we want is, if you're laying all the way down, shoulders are on the mat and your hip isn't lifted up. You want to be able to lay them down. And again, you can use a block if you need support. I'm just leaning up onto this block. I'm feeling this nice stretch in the hip flexor. And I'm just going to breathe in and out. There may be sensations all the way around the hip joint, from your hip flexor down your IT band and then into the rotator cuffs, into that piriformis that attaches your hamstrings to your glutes. You may feel sensation there. That's okay. We're working all the way around the joint, those tendons and ligaments and what we call plastic tissue, your cartilage, and all that fascia that works around the joint. Continue to breathe in and out. Last breath in. And then as you exhale away, you're going to come out of that. And we're going to take what's called a counter pose. So I'm going to bring my knees up and then tap them internally. Take a few breaths in and out. Just get some oxygen there. Now, if you need movement, you can windshield wiper your legs side to side. That'll feel good as well. Just to open that up. And then we're going to set up for the other side. So I'm going to move my block to the other side. Again, you can lay down on a bolster. You want to fold this leg, working this other hip flexor. Remember where your toes are going to be. That's really important to keep your knee joints safe as we work into those. And then you're going just to begin to breathe in and out. Pull the pit of the belly in and up. So as we work into these joint systems, we want to be aware of what our other body's doing. Do I have my shoulders rolled back and stacked? Do I have an apple under my chin? Am I engaging my core? So I don't want everything just sitting and hanging there. I want everything pulled in nice and tight, pulled up, lengthen through, keep that good posture as we work into the joints. And then as you begin to feel the sensation, remember your meditation of I release, I am open, and just allow the opening as you breathe in and out. And also become aware of right side, left side. We're working one side at a time. Does one side feel more open than the other? Does one side feel tighter? It's just self-awareness. Your body is giving you information. So you want to take the information and put it to good use of what do I need to do. We're never going to be biomechanically balanced, and that's okay, but we need to be aware of our body and how it's working and where it's tight and where we have range of motion. It gives you a lot of critical information so that you can move forward on your wellness journey. Really use your breath work. It's to your advantage. Bring in all that great oxygenated blood and send it to those sensations, that hip that you're working. Put your full concentration into where the sensations are. And then take one more breath in, and then as you exhale that away, you're going to come to your position that just releases. You'll just feel those sensations release through. And again, you can windshield wiper. I always find that working into the hip joint, that always feels good, especially if there's lactic acid that builds up in the muscle where it's tight. It can squeeze out. You'll also want to stay very hydrated, so take in some water if you need it. You need those 8 ounces of water to keep our metabolism high, but also to rinse out our body. It's really important. So we want to continue to work into the hip joint. We're going to do it in a supine position because I want to stabilize your back. After we do this one, we're going to do some other joint systems, give our hips a little bit of a break, and then go back to it. This is called shoelace, and you can do shoelace in a seated position and in a supine position. Lay down. I've got support with my blanket, and I want to make sure my low back remains on the mat. So if you have space back here, a blanket is a great way to fill in some of that space so you have extra support. And you can also tilt your hips so that you push your low back into the mat. I also want an apple under my chin. I'm going to roll my shoulders back. And then we're going to take our knees and cross them over just like this. I want to dorsiflex my toes towards my knees. And as we begin to get into our shoelace, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach up, grab each side of my foot, and then just hinge them to each side. And we're just going to breathe in and out and hold that as we do our yin. I'm going to look up to the ceiling and begin to breathe in and out. Trying to breathe into the sensations around your hip joint. Your low back is on the mat. Now, if this is too much for you, too intense, you can do one side at a time. It's okay. Or you can go into figure 4. You're also reaching into wrist joints, elbow joints, and shoulder joints. Just breathing in and out. And then release. You can then take your counter pose. You can windshield wiper your hips side to side, just like we did in half saddle. And then we're going to set up our shoelace on the other side. So I'm going to lift my legs and come over to the other side. Now remember that you're not biomechanically balanced, so it's going to feel different on one side and the other side. So you might feel more tightness, like I feel my hips really tight on this side. And I want to use my breath work to send oxygenated blood to those joint systems. Take one more breath in and then begin to exhale it away. So first I'm going to release my hands from my feet. Then I'm going to uncross my legs, tap them down, and then take my counter pose by tapping my knees in and internally rotate at your hip flexors. Just to open them up. You may need to extend your legs out in extension because they've been in flexion. Now we're going to go ahead and get into some of the other joint systems while we're giving some restoration to our hips, and then we'll finish off our hips. We're giving our hips a little bit of restoration and rest before we get back into them. We've worked around the hips and our half saddle and then our supine shoelace. We want to get into the other joint systems, and then we'll finish off our hips, and then we'll call it a day. Get into our ankles first, and we're going to do that in hero's pose. You're going to put your toes in a toe stand. Sit up nice and tall. I'm going to put a block right up under my legs, and sit right down onto them. Now I'm putting pressure on my ankle joint. I'm going to pull the pit of the belly in and up, draw my spine nice and tall, roll my shoulders back, bring my hands to heart center, and then breathe into it. Last breath in. And begin to exhale that away. So my counter pose then is to untuck the toes, pada bandha, tops of the feet. You can press them down. You can sit back on them. Or you can extend your foot out and circle out your ankle joint. One way and then the other. Nice. So we're going to land back in hero's pose, but this time we're going to work our wrist joints. You can do it a couple different ways. The first way you can do is just to put some pressure on your wrist joints and come up. Or you can tuck your hands up under your knees, just like this, and work the wrist joint for part of the time and then the other way. So I'm on the top, pada bandha, on top. My knees are on top of my hands. I'm going to roll my shoulders back, keep that apple under my chin, breathe in and out. Now, if you need more stability, you can always put your head on a block. Or your chin on a block, almost like puppy pose. We're going to untuck and stay in the moment and flex our wrist. You can push into them. Your shoulders are going to come a little bit over your hands. Keep softness in the elbow joints. And release. So from here, we want to dorsiplantar flex. Oh, you're going to feel that sensation. And then roll your wrist joints. I want to do lion's paw, lion's claw, what are you going to call it? Just open up your fingers and close them. Circle out your wrist. And you can flap them very gently just to release that as well. All right, so ankles and wrist joints, hip joints. We also want to get into our shoulder and elbow joints. And I'm going to show you a prone shoulder stretch. I'm going to come a little closer so you can see. And I'm going to call it a day. Use my blanket. And what I want to do is come down into a prone position. So I'm going to be face down. I want to take my rotator cuffs that connect to my shoulder and I want to push them into the mat. So my arms out at the side. And then I'm very gently going to roll into this and stretch it. Now my top leg, you can see it's up here. I'm going to bend it and bring it down close to my glute. You can hold your hand here or you can find another bind and open up that shoulder. So that's where we're going to be. One side and then the other. Now, if you need to, you can put your head on a block or on a pillow just to keep your neck in a neutral position. Gently, gently, gently breathe into this. Last breath in. Exhale it away. And then you're very, very slowly going to roll out of that. Then we'll go to the other side. So I'm still in a prone position. You very, very gently going to push the side in, roll it out. Take my top foot towards my glute. Now you can straighten out your other leg or bend it. I'm going to use this to keep my neck in a neutral position. And then I'm going to use my other hand and put the top of my hand into the small of my back to make a nice opening, a bind, what we call bind in yoga. Just opening up the shoulder joints. And then just breathe in and out. Last breath in. And exhale that all away. And slide in, slide down to my child's pose. Just stretch that shoulder out. Come up, roll my shoulders, roll my elbows. Take that big circle, big breath up. And exhale that away. So we have our last two positions, right side, left side. It's going to be seated shoelace. That's going to be the last hip opener. And then we have covered all of our joint systems, ankles, wrists, hips, elbows, and shoulders. And you should feel like all of your joint systems have been elongated and stretched, not overstretched. We never want to overstretch a ligament or a tendon. So the same thing goes for shoelace here. We're going to sit up really nice and tall. I'm on my sits bone. And I'm going to cross my lace over so my knee goes over my knee. Sometimes they call this cow face pose. This is why I'm using the blankets, because my ankles are actually laying flat on the sides as I pull my feet around. So my knees stack on top of each other. Then you can use blocks if you want and hinge forward, or you can just hinge forward. So use your blocks if you need them. And then we begin to open up the hips. So it could look like this. Apple under your chin, pull the pit of the belly in and up, roll your shoulders back, dorsiflex your feet. And exhale that away. Ha. We have one more side. So that counter pose can be internal or just extension of the legs, making your hips go into a neutral position. Hip flexor follows knee, follows ankle, and you can hip hinge and rock into it. And we go to the other side. Consider that both sides, the shape is going to look a little different because we're not biomechanically balanced. So you'll notice that this knee doesn't necessarily sit right on top of the other knee. I have more flexibility on the other side. That's okay. Find what works for you. Just make sure both hips are down at the same time and your glutes not lifting up off the mat. You're not sitting in one hip or the other hip. Taking those big inhalations, use that breath work. Breath work is going to help you with these yin shapes. Dorsiflex the feet. The knee joint is not fully closed here. So you don't want to risk injuring the medial or lateral part of your knee. Last breath in. And exhale that away. Find your counter pose. I'm going to elongate my legs, roll my shoulders back. Take a big breath up. Exhale it all the way. I may want to do a little simple twist here. Look at your shoulders. Sit up really nice and tall. You can go to the other side just to open up and rinse out your spine. And then take another breath up. Exhale that away. You are done with your yin shapes. For the hips, we went through all the other joints, but mostly sat in those hips to open them up and release tension from them. We have a lot of lactic acid that sits in our hips when we get very stressed or when our hips are tight because we do a prolonged amount of sitting through the day. So don't forget to, one, hydrate your body, get your 8 ounces of water in, please. It's going to help your metabolism, but it's also going to help rinse out your body and will allow some of the rinsing of that lactic acid to come out of your muscles. And then two, we want to do our daily movement, daily stretches, but mostly if you're sitting a lot through the day, set your watch to stand up every hour. It will tell you, please stand up, it's time to stand. And just stand up, walk around, take in a few breaths, and then go back to work. If you are at an office and you have a standing desk, I work from home. As you know, I make these videos and I do corporate yoga and workouts and all of that. When I'm not with clients and I'm writing content or doing things here, I have a desk that is a standing desk, so I can stand up and do some work, and then I can sit down and do some work. So use your resources to help you. We want to keep the elongation of the spine. We want to stretch during the day. If you haven't already and you need to, go into our playlist, like, subscribe, share. Go into our playlist and find the office stretches. I'm going to help you with those. Find gentle stretching, gentle yoga. The yin is going to help those joint systems, your ligaments, your tendons, and your cartilage, what we call plastic tissue. And then the vinyasa and the stretching and the flow, that's going to move into those muscles. Will make you strong, will keep you flexible. We want to, one, be consistent, and then two, have variation in our movement. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it for you. I hope that you are feeling like your hips are opened up and released, and that your other joint systems are feeling really alive and awake and good. I have all this incredible range of motion now. My joints are feeling really, really good. Don't forget to live your life 360. We appreciate our subscribers. Thank you so much. Invite a friend, and we will see you for the next video. Bye.